It's sort of the year of X-Men. I'm going through these films. I'm leapfrogging Origins Wolverine for the moment. I'm going to review the Wolverine films after I get done with the X-Men films. So stay tuned for that. I know we're all really excited to see me do X-Men Origins Wolverine, a second look, but this is X-Men First Class, a second look. This is directed by Matthew Vaughn, and I actually own this on DVD. It is shockingly, I actually own I don't own Dark Phoenix. I just didn't see the point. I didn't like it, and I kind of wasn't buying physical media at that point because I wasn't sure what had audio description. So I don't own the last one, but all the way up until that. And this has audio description by Miles Neff, who I believe has passed since then. And Media Access Group is behind this. So let's get right into that audio description. That's what people want. So click subscribe because I'm a blind film critic and I talk about audio description, and I'm actually going to talk about it first here. So there's this rule, it's the bane of my existence sometimes, because when you take it too literally, it kills me. It's like, it's an all or nothing thing. There is no exception to the rule of, well, if this happens, then you do this. It's just people will do the whole film because somebody wrote a book many years ago that says, don't do this. And I think that's silly, and people need to make better choices. It's the same complaint that I had with Barbie. It's just way lower of a character. So in this film, we have the bad guys, and in the bad guys group, we have a couple of people, and sadly, we have one guy who is from the comics. It's lesser known, and he doesn't contribute a lot to the film. But Riptide is his name, and Miles even gets to read the credits. Unfortunately, Riptide never gets a name in the film. He's always awkwardly described as something else. He's described as the guy that did those powers, or the guy with the dark hair, or something. They find some other way of describing. It's not even consistent. It's not even a consistent way of describing him. There's the whole scene when he's standing on the beach at the end with Azazel and some of the others. It's not even consistent. It just, they find different ways of referencing him, and it'd just be so much easier if they just used his name like they're using the name for everyone else on that beach and all of the other mutants in this film. Everyone else gets a name. Some of them get two, because Henry starts out as Henry and transforms to Beast after he tries to cure himself. So, yes, this is very frustrating, because once again, we have something that would be a logical decision. It's not like a spoiler, but for fans of the comic book series that are looking for their characters, that are like, oh yeah, Banshee's in here, cool. Oh look, they got Havok, and they got, they got Emma Frost or White Queen, or however you remember her from the comic books. They got all these characters, and then they're just like, oh, they got the guy with the dark hair. Yeah, I remember the guy with dark hair from comics. He was a big part of the just Riptide, man. Come on. Anyway, the rest of the audio description is great. Of course it is, because it's Media Access, Miles Neff, great job. I know this is from 2011, and this is a DVD release, so it's audio description pretty close to 2011. So this hasn't been redone. It's not on Disney Plus with audio description. So luckily I was able to talk about the audio description. Why would I choose? That's what I'm saying. I own it, and the DVD has audio description, so why would I choose to not watch the audio just to be pissy at Disney Plus? I'm just letting you know Disney Plus is running this film without audio description, and if you don't own this, or buy it off of iTunes or something like that, then your subscription fee with Disney Plus is bullshit, because there's existing audio description to this film that they're just not using. So, meanwhile, they, obviously want to keep developing X-Men films. They just don't want you to watch the old ones. I don't know. I don't know what their business model here is with X-Men, but we start at the beginning. This film hits a reboot button on the X-Men franchise, recasting Charles Xavier as James McAvoy. Magneto becomes Michael Fassbender. And the two of them are not mortal enemies yet, although we do spend quite a lot of time evolving Magneto's character. Michael Fassbender gets a lot of range there. It's the same sort of path as a former, Nazi concentration camp survivor. He still has the tattoo and everything. They kept that story, and there is quite a bit of story about that in the beginning. Kevin Bacon is introduced here as the main villain to the story. And we've got a slew of other heroes that they pick up along the way, including Lucas Till as Havok. We've got Caleb Landry Jones as Banshee. We've got Zoey Kravitz as Angel, not that Angel, the other Angel. Yes, there was a different Angel in the comic book. I know it gets confusing. There are lots of different X-Men. Some of them have the same names. Yes. We have Edie Gathegi as... I totally forget his name every single time. So I'm just going to skip over him. He's not even that important to the plot of the film. We've got, obviously, Beast / Hank McCoy, played by Nicholas Holt. Jennifer Lawrence is in this quite a bit as Mystique. January Jones plays the White Queen, and we've got, like I said, Azazel pops up here, and an actor I'm not familiar with at all plays Riptide, which is why they're easy, just sort of, who's that guy? I don't know. I'm like, honestly, I can't pull the actor's name for Azazel either, even though I know I've seen him before in things. Like, I feel like I know who that actor is. So, Rose Byrne plays Moira McTaggart, so that's a nice addition. We've got Oliver Platt in a pretty decent sized role, who sort of helps to start this little government experiment with mutants. And that's how it works. Anyway, so it's a plot. It trades very much on the Cold War era fear of, Russians and communism versus America and freedom. And there's a battle on some ships. Also, possibly on the beach of Cuba, although I really doubt they actually filmed on the Cuban beach in this. And yeah, there's a lot of themes running through about mutants and Magneto with his ideas about how we should be allowed to exist. And, you do see his circumstances. It's the same thing with the original series by Bryan Singer. It's very easy to sympathize with when you see where his character came from, why he's saying, like, I've seen this kind of behavior before. He has actually seen this kind of behavior before of corralling and treating a population of citizens as less than and dangerous and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, he's trying to avoid that again. When he says stuff like never again, he does mean never again. He's going to fight like hell to get away from that. I really enjoy this film. I think it's a really great entry into the X-Men franchise. This could have gone horribly wrong. Brett Ratner had kind of gotten a messy version of that third film. I've heard a lot about how even Matthew Vaughn, who was offered the third film, has spoken about sort of the problems with how that last stand were taking place. And I blame Brett Ratner less now because it seems like there was a lot of studio interference, a lot of bullshit that was being thrown their way, a lot of we want this, this, and this, and cram it all into one film, and make it under 2 hours. I mean, everybody's always worried about runtime. So here, I think Matthew Vaughn got his vision. It was a reboot, so he was able to kind of start from scratch and able to put his own stamp on the franchise, which I think he does. Like I said, I think the audio description here is really good. I think when you have mutants who are using their powers, and I think they're described really well. There's every time Mystique / Raven changes, it does a really nice job of describing how she changes, how her scales shift and transform into somebody else. It does a really nice job of describing how Havok's powers work, how the energy sort of swirls around him and then he projects it out. I thought that was really good. So there are several moments in this that are really solidly described, really good. And I'm a fan of this film. So I'm glad that I'm rewatching this and getting my thoughts out there on X-Men First Class, although I stand by what I said. At a certain point, you have to have a rule. You have to have a function in this. You can look ahead because you're writing the script to the film. Somebody writes the audio description track. So they've written it, they get to the end, and they're like, okay, so this one guy that's there, that's just hanging out with the bad guys, uses his powers and stuff. He's never named. So this book says I'm not supposed to name him. Well, the book is wrong. This is a comic book film, man. Like, the fans alone are looking for those Easter eggs because the sighted fans are going to see the Easter eggs. One of the fun parts of watching an X-Men film are seeing those little characters in the background who are using their powers and you being able to go, oh, that's so-and-so because that's their power set. I promise you, because I was there. So, along with every other sighted person will tell you, that is the fun of watching a film like this, is to see these characters, and the comic book fans will go, oh, yeah, I know who that is, because it matches the description of that. There's so many comments about the little Easter eggs they throw into every film about who these characters are. I remember in Dark Knight Rises, when there's a lot of thought and cons about who Juno Temple was really playing in that film, and like fan theories about Juno Temple and her place if there were to be another Batman film in Nolan's universe. Of course, X-Men itself is a great sort of example of this, because you have someone like Colossus, who makes a really bold appearance in X2 and stands there and uses his powers, and then ends up getting a much bigger role in the third film. He made a huge appearance. However, some of the other characters that we see, like Siren, Shadowcat, who gets recast, although they do reference her. He does say, I know a girl who walks through walls. It's just in the next film, it's Elliot Page and not the girl who played Shadowcat in the first film. And also Jubilee, but Jubilee is named because Storm says something to Jubilee while she's in the cage. So it's all these little tiny things throughout the whole film. Characters who have a fleeting second to be represented on screen, and they are. And that's what happens here. Riptide isn't important enough to give dialogue to, but it's cool to know that he's there. Anyway, those are my thoughts on X-Men First Class in the audio description. He should have been named. but I do love the film. I think in general this film has excellent audio description. That's really my only problem with it. Just like Barbie. I actually thought Barbie had really good audio description. I just wanted America Ferrera to have a name. Like it's frustrating to let a character go the whole film like that, especially when you're looking at the reasons why a character shouldn't. In this case, fans are looking for their favorite characters from the comic books, and in the case of Barbie, it literally goes against everything about her character. She makes this huge speech about being a woman, and then she's always only represented by her job or by being a mother. Those are the only two things that ever define her. She's never referenced as Gloria, but yet everybody, once she started getting awards recognition, what was she called? She was America Ferrera as Gloria in Barbie. She had a name. It's in the credits. It's on IMDb. And in here, it's even more egregious because Miles reads the credits. He read every credit of every cast member, and he read Riptide. So, anyway, fight me in the comments if you want. I'm giving X-Men First Class an A. I like this film. I like most X-Men films. That's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I'm willing to fight in the comments. If you believe that I'm wrong about Riptide and you think that, no, the audio description rules are more important than your enjoyment of the film, okay, fight me on it, because I grew up on X-Men and I know what I'm talking about. So let's do it. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.